Hey guys, I'm Theobald Hedman. Welcome to Southern Ingenuity. In this video, I'll be making a customized piece of shooting equipment to add to my night hunting setup. I'll be using some scrap aluminum and some hardware left over from previous projects to make a rotating and pivoting steady rest that mounts to the top of a tripod. First, I cut the aluminum to a slightly oversized dimension. Then I used a milling machine to square the cut edges with the factory edges and bring the parts to their final external dimensions. I'm shooting for about 2,990. That's pretty darn close. Next, I use an edge finder to get the spindle centered over the top right corner of the vise. With the parts drawn using baseline dimensions, I can use this corner as the 0 point for all my measurements. I'm going to drill the pivot holes first before machining away the rest of the material. I begin roughing in the parts using a 1/2 inch end mill, removing about 1/100,000ths of an inch per pass. On the finished passes, I remove about 20 to 30,000ths of an inch. These notches are machined into the sides of each mounting plate to provide clearance for the pivot posts on the opposite plate. Each plate will have 4 mounting holes. On one plate, they'll all just be simple through holes 3/16ths of an inch in diameter. On the other plate, they'll all be drilled and tapped with an 832 thread. All of the holes on the pivot block will be tapped with a 1/4-20 thread. Now my night hunting setup is pretty modest. I can't justify spending a lot of money on thermal or night vision optics, so I make do with a green LED flashlight on my scope and a green LED spotlight on my head. Likewise, I can't see spending a lot of money on expensive tripods or gun clamps. So I made my own gun clamp out of plywood and 1/8" angle iron and attached it to the top of an old camera tripod. Now for what I do, it works, but it does have its drawbacks and limitations. It's got full 360-degree left to right swing to be able to get on target, and it has enough up and down tilt to be able to get on target. But it's actually got too much up and down tilt. If my hand were to slip off of the rifle, it could potentially fall forward or backwards, allowing the gun to possibly come out of the clamp. And this, of course, could be really dangerous, not to mention expensive. And this setup has no built-in left to right tilt for aligning the reticle straight up and down. So if the tripod isn't perfectly level, I've got to twist and pull to try to get the gun lined up straight to make the shot. The steady rest that I'm making will give me that left and right tilt and limit the up and down tilt to a safe, hands-free resting angle. These plastic washers were left over from an old tripod deer stand. I'm going to use them as spacers between the pivot block and the mounting plates to remove any side-to-side play. This small Lazy Susan bearing is going to allow the unit to rotate 360 degrees, but the bearings are not sealed, so dirt and debris could potentially get inside. I'm going to use an O-ring from an old oil filter as a makeshift seal to help keep the bearings clean. The ring is twisted inside out and trimmed. Then the belt sander is used to hone the profile for a proper fit around the bearings. To darken the finish of the parts, I use some aluminum blackening solution. And though the finish would have been sufficient for my needs, I still decided to give it a light dusting with some black spray paint before final assembly. The mounting plates are secured to the pivot block using shoulder bolts 5/16 of an inch in diameter by 3/4 of an inch long. The parts were machined so as to allow about 5/1000 of an inch clearance between the bolt heads and the mounting plate when the bolts are tightened at final assembly. As you can see, the steady rest maintains a safe, hands-free resting angle and still allows sufficient range of motion for target acquisition. It provides effortless left to right swing, and if the tripod isn't perfectly level, there's plenty of left and right tilt to be able to make the correction. I'm Theobald Hedman. Thanks for watching Southern Ingenuity.